Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Module 8. This week we're going to be talking about e-commerce as it relates to employment relations, both domestically and abroad, as well as the import and export of technology, which really is a slippery slope and something every entity needs to be aware of and have policies and procedures in place. So with that, let's go ahead and let's just start by taking a quick look at the homework for this module. And the homework assignment is Quiz 4, as well as the team deliverable and the Module 8 discussion. Now, there is a deliverable rubric that's been placed in the homework folder for this team deliverable. Everyone at this point, every team has been assigned to a scenario, one side or the other, and you're going to be using the issue evaluation format for this particular deliverable. So what that means is you're going to start with the issue. You're going to have a section that's labeled issue. Remember, the issue is only one sentence, not a paragraph, and you don't discuss what you think the issue is. You actually identify the issue starting with the word whether and go from there. You want to incorporate some relevant facts as well as the law that you believe is the subject of the lawsuit itself. So the cause of action pertains to the law. For the facts, you're looking at what facts support the entity's position and what facts are against it, and of course that's going to depend on how you state the issue and which side you actually represent, whether it's the plaintiff or the defendant. Then you're going to go down to the holding, and you're going to identify the holding for the issue, which will also be just one sentence and will directly answer the issue in the affirmative or negative. So if your issue, and it's going to mirror your issue, so if your issue is whether the defendant ran the red light hitting the plaintiff, and the answer is yes, it's in the affirmative, your holding would be the defendant ran the red light hitting the plaintiff. So you see how it's a mirror, the holding is a mirror of the issue? If in fact the holding and the issue do not mirror each other, as if they're looking in a mirror, then what you want to do is decide which one you're more married to, the issue or the holding, and revise the other to mirror the one that you feel is more on point and correct. That takes us to the law section. And in the law section, just give us the title of the law and where it may be found. It may be it's case law, not statutory law. It just depends on your scenario. And then below that is where you discuss the rationale. And remember, the rationale section is the longest section of the issue evaluation, because in that section, your team actually has to discuss the law and synthesize the facts to it, or vice versa, however you're looking at it. So you have to explain what are the elements of the law, and how do the facts fit into those particular elements, or how do they not fit in if you're the defendant. If you have a valid defense to the allegations or to the legal theory, cause of action of the case, what are those defenses and why are those defenses relevant? So you have to explain it. Treat the rationale as your team's closing argument. So if you're presenting this to a jury, what would you say in a persuasive way, but understanding that the law has to support your position? Your holding is going to be the holding that you want the court to reach in the case. So remember that when you're answering the holding section. Then you go down to the opinion and just keep it simple and at a general overall level. Don't get into too much detail you don't need to. Just tell us what went wrong. You know, really, why are we even having to deal with this case, this scenario? What went wrong? Just a basic on if the plaintiff or defendant had just done X differently, we wouldn't be in this situation. And then lastly is your organizational plan. What organizational changes would the defendant need to make or the plaintiff to ensure that this situation doesn't happen again, or at least try to ensure that it doesn't happen again? So that's the breakdown of the rubric. That's the breakdown of the form that you're going to be using for Team Deliverable 2. Don't forget quiz 4 and the modulate discussion. Now, when we talk about employment, and we talk about it in an e-commerce setting, you have to remember that when you're looking at employing entities or individuals from overseas, let's say you're farming out your call center, you're looking at having to abide by your country's laws as the business entity, but also the laws of the host country. So you need to be aware of that. How are you going to pay your employees overseas? And you know, cryptocurrency is becoming a huge issue in the global marketplace. How's that going to be introduced as we move forward into these different levels of currency? Also, very, very, very important is the import and export of technology. Because with ITAR and other federal regulations, you don't want to run afoul of those, because if you do run afoul of them, the consequences, the fines that are associated with the violations are significant. And it may be innocent. That's why when you buy a computer online, one of the questions that they ask you is whether you're going to be providing this computer to somebody overseas. Whether you're selling it or giving it doesn't matter. They need to know, because the technology within the computer might be used in an inappropriate way. So you have to know your end users, and believe it or not, the government does require you to have a questionnaire in place and to basically do your good faith analysis, and so you can show in your defense you did everything that you thought you should do in order to try and ensure that you didn't run afoul of any of our federal laws. So keep those things in mind as you go through this module. Of course, if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact your instructor. Otherwise, we hope that you have an amazing week 8, and good luck with the quiz. Questions, if you have any on the deliverable, please let us know.